Hello, everybody, and welcome to Plot Unknown. Before we go ahead and get started with today's episode, I just wanted to let you guys know that today's show is brought to you by Audible. So Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. All you need to do to go ahead and get started in listening is go to audibletrial.com/plot and go ahead and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Again, all you need to do to go ahead and start listening on your commute or during work or whatever is go ahead and go to audibletrial.com/plot. Welcome back to Plot Unknown. My name is Luke.
My name's Melissa.
We are joined today by our producer.
Hello, my name is Sam. I'm all out of Pez.
And you are listening to episode T is for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we tried this, actually two things. First, we tried this before, accidentally recorded with my laptop mic. God damn it.
God, it sounds
Maybe
so bad.
one day
Luke
we'll
is an idiot.
release that audio. Probably not.
That's dumb.
We had some good discussion though.
You and Sam had some good discussions. I sat here and listened to y'all talk for fucking 10 minutes.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I technically wasn't supposed to be on this episode, but Melissa and I found time.
True.
And we are
the host himself wasn't supposed to be on this episode.
excuse me,
Crazy.
co-host.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we found time and we're doing it anyways.
Yes.
I had something else to say. I forgot it.
Great. I'm happy about that.
So because we've already done this before and because Melissa has already written her plot, let's still take a little break because we got to roll the clip, but we'll just kind of come straight back and talk about it and then we'll go home.
We'll go home?
Yeah, so
Where are we?
roll that clip.
Go to the promised land.
Hello? Hey, Pam, come look at this.
Let's go.
Hello? Is anybody home? Hello? Hey, Pam. Hello?
We've rolled that clip and Melissa has written her plot. She has not rewritten it, but she wrote it in the first place. So
I wasn't about to rewrite it.
why don't you give us a little rundown on the shindig?
Yes. So we had a previous conversation about how Sam asked me what I knew about this film.
Oh yeah, all that shit is gone.
I know. And basically my knowledge of it is just from Resident Evil. That's what it's called, right?
Yes.
I've forgotten it six
Resident
times
Evil
now.
7 specifically.
Resident Evil 7 specifically is all I can think about when I think about Texas Chainsaw. So we'll see how accurate that will be. Probably more accurate than I'm thinking. Okay, y'all ready? A group of 5 young adults, probably like 2 girls and 3 dudes, take a summer trip to go to a lake house, but end up getting lost in the boondocks in the evening, and their car dies, so they're stuck. They find an abandoned-looking house in a swampy marsh area to take refuge in while they wait until morning to figure out what they're going to do about their car situation. They find that the house is not abandoned, but is inhabited by a family of incestuous hick people and their Lord Hick Leatherface. They get captured and get some fucked up shit happen to them, and they all die except for one girl, and she runs away from the house to safety, and you think she makes it out alive, but she doesn't. Leatherface comes and sticks a chainsaw in her guts. Cue Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes. So Sam and I went at length about the influence of this movie. We're not going to do that again.
I'm so glad.
We'll save it for tomorrow.
Can I tell you something fucked up?
Yeah.
I'm really glad that that's going to be all cut.
That's sad because Sam and I had such
That's
a
fine.
good we had such a good discussion.
I understand that, honestly, because, like, it is
Here
hard.
we go
it-
again.
no, just shut
I'm just
up.
kidding. I'm sorry. Go.
It is hard to talk about this movie without seeing it. And, like, I think
Maybe we'll Skype call you tomorrow.
The gist of what I was trying to say is that I think when you see it, you'll understand why you feel like you just hodgepodged a whole bunch of stuff together, because this is where it all started.
Yeah.
Like, this is where this whole thing of, like, reinventing horror to be outside of, like, fucking Dracula and bullshit like that. I mean, there were 60s horror movies, but they weren't, like, you don't really hear about 50s or 60s horror movies. A lot of that stuff is, like, the giant ants that are black and white, or, like, dumb shit like that, right?
Like nuclear horror.
Yeah. And so, like, this really starts the sort of new era in the popular sense of, like, really aggressive horror movies. Like, people thought this was a snuff film for a while back in the day. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they actually thought that, but, like,
there's some films that, like, truly, like, look like snuff films.
Oh, yeah.
I doubt this is.
It feels like that, though. Like,
it does?
Yeah,
okay.
it feels like it. Like, there are a couple places where the sound is just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it feels like you're really watching people die, which is, if you're into that, that's cool. But I think
it's fucked up.
I think you'll see why this kind of started a whole revolution, and honestly, an interest in serial killers too.
Yeah, which that ended up being cut. Obviously, I went on a rant about Edward Theodore Gein.
Oh shit! Yeah, that did. End up
all
being
that
cut.
shit is gone.
But
Do you want me to start it again?
You can. I mean,
Okay.
we fucking jabbered our jaws for a while.
Let me jabber my jaw for 1 second. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it because of what you just said, because I think I'll get a better understanding of the influences behind video games and movies and everything. But the only knowledge I have about this really comes from my knowledge of serial killers, from Ed Gein, who was a serial killer, kind of technically. He only killed like 2 people, but he dug up a bunch of bodies and like skinned them, made them into bodysuits and fun knickknacks like lamps and belts and bowls and all that fun stuff.
How many people do you have to kill to be considered a serial killer?
Well,
Like on average,
3 or more.
3 or more. Okay.
So I think it was like 2 or 3. So I think that's why he's still grouped in. But it's like 3 or more.
Is it over a specific period of
Yeah,
time?
it's well, I don't think it's a specific. It doesn't have to be like a specific amount of time, but there has to be a break.
Okay.
Like they have to have a cooling off period for it to be considered a serial killer.
Okay.
Because you
Like
also
the
have
Columbine shooters weren't serial killers.
no, those were mass shooters or mass killing,
mass killers,
mass murders, and then there's spree killings. There's serial murder, mass murder, and spree murder. I could go on about that for fucking days, so let's not.
Here's a better question. Do
Yeah.
you think you can make a Pez dispenser out of body parts?
Dude.
Like a
And
finger.
do you think Ed Gein would have had he known what a Pez was? Because I feel like Ed Gein was poor enough that he had no fucking idea what a Pez dispenser was. 'Cause he was poor, right? I'm pretty sure
this
he
was
was
like a
broke.
long
Pez is like the
time ago.
shittiest candy of all time.
You do realize that, yeah?
That's like the shittiest and cheapest candy of all time.
It
Okay,
probably
but Pez
was
dispensers.
Outside of like sugar
Pez
cigarettes.
dispensers.
Oh, those are bad.
Pretty expensive.
Sugar cigarettes?
Sugar cigarettes are
Yeah, they're
awful.
You guys are
They're
dumb.
terrible.
Sugar cigarettes are awesome.
Anyway.
You don't smoke no cigs.
Anyway.
I don't smoke cigs either. Okay, anyway, but yeah. What were we talking about?
Well, I'm just saying that, like, this movie did kind of... It really fucked people up in the beginning of this whole thing. And also, like, it kind of changed, I think, how the, like, conscious at the time. Because when were, like, the big serial killer years? Isn't it, like...
Like the 70s and 80s?
The 70s and 80s, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, like, I think that this kind of almost, like, brought awareness to that in a way,
Yeah.
you know? Like, more so than what people were seeing and stuff.
Let me... Hold on. Because, again, like, Leatherface was inspired by Ed Gein. That was
Yeah.
my whole thing. Because he made a fucking suit out of women's body parts. Because he wanted to be a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not
Leatherface
Leatherface.
doesn't want to be a woman.
No, but he
No,
still...
Leatherface wants to be a person.
He still wore people's body parts on his face. Not body parts, like face on his face. He's got a face on his
No
face.
face.
When was Zodiac? Was Zodiac in the 60s?
I don't know. Hold on. Ed Gein was born in 1906. Holy balls.
Christ.
Holy
was-
balls.
He started killing in so he confessed to killing 2 women. Whatever. But he started in 1954.
Okay.
But I mean, again, probably Pez wasn't around back then.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah, Pez. I don't think Pez was around in 1954.
So the consensus is, if Ed Gein knew what a Pez was, he would make a Pez out of a woman's pelvis.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Pez fucking.
Zodiac
blows.
Killer was in the 60s and early 70s. So I say 60s, 70s, and 80s were big for serial killers.
Because 80s was like satanic.
The
cults.
Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
I thought that was the 90s.
No. That's the 80s. That was the Satanic Panic.
All my true crime comes from fucking last podcast.
Anyway, so yeah, I think you'll find this very interesting because I think it's a lot of serial killers. I think it's a lot of intrigue in there. It's just a weird, like, acid trip of a film for a while.
It is. So, it is. Yeah.
But I don't want to. Don't
ruin it.
No, I'm not going to. It's good.
I think that you'll enjoy it a lot.
Or she'll fucking totally hate it.
Wait, hold on. I'm sure I'll like it. Maybe. The Satanic Panic originated in the 1970s, but gained traction in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I
wanted to clarify.
In the 90s.
Yeah, I think the bulk of it was in the
Probably
80s.
Like mid. To
it went
80s.
From Satanic Panic to people to moms hating
the disco.
No, to moms hating Mortal Kombat.
Moms always hate Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I know, but I think the first
game
was the 90s.
This is not a video game podcast. Never mind.
Nope. All right. Well,
it's not finna be either, bitches.
Mortal Kombat is based on the devil.
Mortal Kombat is the devil.
Yes. Protect your children by letting them listen to this next clip of probably a person getting murdered.
Yep.
Protect your children. Roll the clip.
You can make him stop. No, you
Shut your mouth. Can't be helped, young lady.
Oh, please. Shut up. Let them kill me.
No mind. You like this, Dave?
Before we return you to today's program, we just want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/plot and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free today and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/plot to get started today. So why Audible? Audible's content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. To give you a little taste of what I'm listening to David Lynch's Catching the Big Fish, Meditation, Consciousness, and Creativity, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm listening to it at work, on my commute, while I'm doing chores, and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to take my recommendation. That's the beautiful thing about it. With your free book, with your trial membership, you can pick anything in Audible's content libraries and pick that and have that for free. So again, just go ahead and go to audibletrial.com/plot. That is audibletrial.com/plot for your free audiobook. And again, we just want to go ahead and thank Audible once again for sponsoring our show today. And now we're going to go ahead and return you to the show. I have a summary. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
En route. En route.
Okay.
To visit their grandfather's grave, which has apparently been ritualistically
Is it spelled
desecrated.
E-N?
It's E-N
R-O-U-T-E. En route.
En route, yes.
En route.
5 teenagers...
Holy shit.
5 teenagers drive past a slaughterhouse, pick up, and quickly drop off. You missed a word there. A sinister hitchhiker eats some delicious home-cured meat at a roadside gas station before ending up at the old family home, where they're plunged into a never-ending nightmare as they meet a family of cannibals who more than make up in power tools what they lack in social skills.
How do you know they're cannibals?
That is Michael Brook from IMDb.
Okay, how do you know they're cannibals? They don't talk about it.
It's kind of inferred by the fact that he cuts them up and puts them in the refrigerator or the freezer.
Oh.
Also, they're like eating human meat at the table. So they're cannibals.
Oh, all right. I guess it never says that, so I don't really get that, but okay.
Yeah. Melissa, congratulations.
Thank you.
On
essentially
pretty
nailing
much
it.
getting it right.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that you forgot that it was in Texas. and that the ending is wrong. You did great.
Thank you. Yeah, cut that out. Yeah, when I was reading back my plot, I had written that although I was right about it being in the boondocks, I had written about it being in like a swampy marsh area. It's Texas.
Yeah.
Why didn't I even like put 2 and 2 together? I was literally just writing stuff and not thinking about like, I don't know, the title of it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are the boondocks?
Boondocks are like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm sure if you define boondocks, it's literally out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Hey Siri.
Oh, this guy, the director of this movie did Poltergeist.
You're not helping me. Hey Siri. Define boondocks.
Boondocks is an informal term. It means rough, remote, or isolated country.
Okay, great.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Thank you, Apple.
Thank you, Siri.
For telling us what the boondocks mean.
But yeah, so I think I got that pretty much spot on. And then the very end is what I got wrong, because for some reason I had this idea in my head that the ending of this movie, and I don't know where this idea came from. I can visualize the scene.
I think that you're thinking about House of a Thousand Corpses.
But I don't think I've ever seen that movie. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But basically the ending that I thought was like she had escaped in some type of car, had like managed to get a hold of a working car and was driving, and like the guy popped up from the back and like shoved a chainsaw into her and killed her.
I'm sure that's in something, but I don't know.
If you guys know what I'm talking about,
please tell us.
Please tell us. Make sure I'm not going crazy and I actually this is actually an ending of a movie. But anyway, other than that, I mean, I got it spot on and I was just bullshitting my way through it.
Yeah. Well, that's the point Sam made. I don't remember if that's in the final cut of that version, but that's the point Sam made, is that like it seems when you were going through it to you that it was just a bunch of random stuff from horror
like
movies,
the video games and the horror movies.
It's
pretty accurate.
You just kind of took the parts of those video games and horror movies that you knew of that ended up making the plot.
Yeah. I was even right about the 3 guys and 2 girls.
Yeah. Before we go into, I don't know how you got that part. Before we go into the movie, I kind of want to do something different.
Okay.
What was your expectation going into this movie of like if you would enjoy it or not?
I think because it's your favorite movie, I thought I would like it anyway, because I think I just wanted to like it because I feel like I would feel bad if I didn't like your favorite movie. I liked it way more than I thought.
It's not easy to not like this movie.
No.
It's not. It's easy to like, I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. It's a great movie.
Yes, I know what you're saying. But yeah, no, I liked it a lot more than I thought, but I think I'd like it more for a reason that you probably don't think, or maybe you do think. Does that make sense?
Well,
because like
I want to explore what that is.
Okay, we'll go into detail about it. But first off, what do you give my
I'm gonna give you a 7.
Fuck yeah, dude! Back
maybe
to back, my
maybe
bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you've had back to back really good plots.
Paddington was spot on.
I've been on a bad.
You've been on a good plot summary, but bad accuracy.
Yep. So before we delve into,
I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Why you enjoyed this movie? I kind of want to start with like a general blanket statement.
Okay.
I think that this movie is so enjoyable because it is like, it's a horror movie, right? But it's so much more than that in a way, because of the way it's shot and because of all of the artistic stuff that surrounds it. It's like you watch it and you're like, okay, you know, I've seen, what's a good example of a horror movie? Saw, right? I've seen Saw. Saw's, you know, people getting fucked up, right? And
it's like visibly fucked up. Like it doesn't allude around it or anything.
And it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Or like Paranormal Activity is just jump scares, right? But it's a horror movie. This movie is different.
This movie is like a horror movie and a thriller mixed together, because they're completely different things. And I'll fight someone on that.
They blend very often, though.
Yeah, but
I agree with you.
What is Silence of the Lambs considered? Is that considered a thriller?
I would say both, but more thriller than horror. I would say it's like a thriller with horror themes.
Because my reason of saying that is because like thrillers aren't, there's gore in them, but they're more like,
they're more drama focused almost.
Yeah, like Texas Chainsaw isn't scary because there's no jump scares. Like you don't get like scared. I think that's a different type of scary.
Yeah, I would say this movie is scary. It's not scary to me.
I
feel
feel
it might
like
not be scary to you, but
in
I think
1974 this was scary. Yeah, but okay, just in regards of me and you, this isn't scary, but it's artistic and it's gory and it's drama filled.
Yeah,
and that's why I like Silence of the Lambs, because it's not scary. It's just beautifully shot and it keeps you like excited the entire time.
Different kinds of drama.
Yeah.
Vastly different kinds of drama.
Yeah. But I mean, in this movie, like, I didn't think it would be as beautiful as it was.
No.
Because the cinematography in this movie was beyond my expectation.
Yeah. And that's the point of what I was saying, is that like this so much more
than a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, when you say horror
that's
movie,
why I said all that.
People have like this
gore
expectation
and gross
that it's like,
and blah.
Yeah, it's like this. Oh, you know, they've shot it in a week. They didn't care about the writing. They didn't care about the cinematography. And you watch this movie and you're like, oh, okay, no, that's not at all what this is.
Way more, because I hate to shit talk my mom, but here we go, Randy. When she asked what your favorite movie was, and I was like, oh, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she's like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's his favorite movie. And I was like, I didn't have a say in it because I hadn't seen it either, but I was like, I don't even think you've seen this movie. You have no idea. Especially now, like, there's a reason why this is your favorite movie. Yeah,
but even if you had saw this movie in 1974 and hadn't seen it since, the perception that surrounds this movie is like it's one of the most fucked up movies you'll watch. You know, or like it's super scary, or it's like super fucked up. But it is, but it's also not.
But it's not the most fucked up thing I've ever seen.
Exactly. Even in movie wise, it's not. And it's not even close.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. I guess crime scene pictures and stuff like that.
It's just good.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Again, like, I feel like we're like running around in circles, but like this exceeded my expectations.
So is that why you like this movie?
Well, yes, because the cinematography was beautiful, and like it told like I don't want to say it told a really good story, but the story was easy to follow, and you could like really, nothing got too crazy, because a lot of the times, like, and I haven't seen very many horror movies, as you know, but like the campy ones that I've seen, they just want to show you gore and they want to go crazy and they want to like not focus on a story.
Yeah.
They just want like scary gore
or they want to give you some twist in the story.
Yeah.
Like we spoiled it already for you, sorry. But in Friday the 13th, when you find out that
it's his mom,
it's Jason's mom killing all the kids, or in Halloween when Jamie Lee Curtis kills him and he sits up and like runs away at the very end. Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
This is just a fucking good ass story with a happy ending, essentially.
I mean, yeah. All her friends are dead, but yes.
All her friends are dead, but she survived.
Yeah.
And she, like, yeah, it's just, this is such a straightforward, good movie. Like, there's no way around it. It really is just like, yeah, wow. I really like this movie. Yeah, I'm really glad I finally watched it. No, but you asked me, like, is that your reason? Like, that is a reason. All of what I just said is a reason. But I also got to give, like, a shout out to the fact that, and I said this the entire movie, Ed Gein is my favorite serial killer, and it's just jam-packed with Ed Gein, because it starts off with the fact that this guy is like digging up bodies in the cemetery, and that's exactly what Ed Gein did. That's mostly what he's infamous for, is digging up bodies and like skinning them, and then he like would kind of like make different things with the bodies and like the skin, and that's exactly what happened in this movie. There was a face lamp, like a face lampshade that was used in the dinner scene. Yep. I was like, fuck. And then when I don't know any of their names, but when the first girl fell into like the fucking bones and chicken and feathers,
the bench.
Oh my god, that bench! I want it in my room.
That scene happened.
Oh my god.
And I was like, Melissa, that is you.
Yeah,
like, that is you.
That's me to
a
a T.
It
was a fucking bone bench, like a human bone bench. I was like, that is the sickest thing I've ever seen. And like, it kind of just like did a really, like, I guess it was probably POV of the girl looking around the room. She looked around the room for a long time, but it just like kept showing like different like knickknacks that these people have made with like the bones of animals and humans, and it is so cool, and you can just see the elements of Ed Gein come out, and I think that's so cool. Yeah, that's, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it, because this guy definitely you even said it, you're like, yeah, this is Ed Gein but with a higher body count.
Yeah, Ed Gein only, Ed Gein if Ed Gein really killed people.
Yeah, if he actually like mass murdered some people.
Yeah,
like a spree killer would probably be the correct word, but.
Like I feel like one of the things that's kind of common with this movie is that you don't really know if these people have, especially if you know Ed Gein, you don't really know if these people have killed anyone before. Like, they preface it with all the grave robbing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so easy to think that until you see the fact that all the cars are there. Like, remember that scene when they see the generator and there's like 6 cars and you're like, oh, because it's so easy. That's just one throwaway thing. But if you think back about it and you're having those doubts and you think, oh shit, no, they had like 6 or 7 cars there. Like,
they've definitely killed people
before.
I didn't even think about that.
And also, when they were at the gas station for the first time, that guy was trying to get them to stay at the gas station.
Yeah.
Turns out he was gonna lure them back and take them and kill them.
Yeah. And I mean, it happened anyway, so.
Yeah. So they were screwed from the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, so what happened to the guy from the beginning? Was that Leatherface?
Oh, the redhead, the guy you thought looked like
Henry.
Yeah, Henry. I don't know. He's not Leatherface. I don't know what happened to him.
That is gonna be one thing that bothers me.
I think that he's like.
Yes.
So I think that it's just kind of assumed that he doesn't really know what's going on and probably just sleeps in the little shop or something. I don't know.
He's probably part of the family, but he sleeps in the shop.
But
yeah, he looks like Henry Zabrowski. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Henry.
That's so fucking funny. We're like trying. If you guys don't know, Henry Zabrowski is from the last podcast on the left. That podcast.
He's a short, redheaded ball of fury.
Troll man. Yeah. Amazing
Lovable
man.
Troll man.
Lovable troll man. And throughout the movie, we're kind of like getting like all the characters. What am I trying to say? We were like
putting ourselves in the characters.
Well, we were putting ourselves, but we were also
is what character?
Yeah, we were putting the people from the last podcast into characters because it was so easy.
Yeah, Marcus is the nerd.
Yeah.
And Ben is Leatherface.
Ben is Leatherface. Yeah, absolutely.
But only because he's tall.
Only because he's big. Only because he's a
Ben.
Big tall man. Sorry, Ben. But yeah. Anyway.
So, we've talked really generally. Actually, we've talked really generally about this movie, but there's something we forgot. The sound in this movie is crazy.
Yo.
So my favorite part. I think you're going to disagree with me, and it's a good thing that you're going to disagree with me. I think the best part of the sound in this movie are the camera clicks that you hear at the beginning and kind of throughout the movie, like the.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I love that sound because it's so ominous.
Yeah.
And I've never heard it anywhere else in my life.
Yes. My favorite, and I mentioned this right when it happened, was when, I don't even remember what scene it was, but when the chainsaw got distorted, and it was like, oh, I don't even know how to make the sound.
I think it was in the scene that she first sees Grandpa.
Yes, and she's up the stairs, and like it cut from like the grandpa to like the old ass dead grandma, and it was like distorted chainsaw sounds. Oh my god, because it's like, it's so unsettling.
Sorry about that. Melissa forgot what she was going to say, and we also had to plug my laptop in.
So Luke's going to start because I have no idea what I was going to say.
Yeah, hopefully she'll remember. So what I was going to say is that I think one of the really interesting things in this movie that is showcased in the dinner scene especially is that a lot of the times when she is screaming, she isn't Sally, her voice like blends into the background noise. There's a point in the dinner scene where she's screaming, stops screaming, but her screams are blended in with like pig noises in the background as just this
and
ambient,
just like white noise,
white
creepy.
noise, crazy shit. And I think that this movie does that kind of stuff a lot. It uses really weird animal sounds just constantly.
It is like constantly just like mind fucking you. Like if the content itself doesn't like stress you out, the sounds will get into your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, wow, the sound is just so good. And
it's almost psychological. I mean, it is psychological.
well, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that when we still have to go about the effect of this movie. We'll touch on that in a little bit.
Okay.
Another thing that I want to say before, unless if you have any other general things to say, and this is, I gotta compose my thoughts. Hold on. We're gonna start getting into specific stuff here about this movie.
Okay.
And the first thing I want to start out with is one of the first things that you kind of see, and it's the juxtaposition of the music on the radio in the car
to
when
what's
the guy
happening,
is cutting his hand open.
That's exactly what I was
thinking. It's just
thinking.
this really like upbeat,
He started
happy music,
dancing during it.
and
Yeah.
this dude is like going fucking nuts.
He starts cutting his hand. He cut fucking whatever his name is, the wheelchair kid.
I want to say Frederick.
No.
Freddie.
Nope.
Tedrick. Teddy.
It's Tedrick. No. He cut
Franklin.
Franklin, that's what it is. He cut Franklin, and then he started like fucking like setting on fire the picture that he had taken. And the music in the background, the music from the radio is still like upbeat and happy, and all this crazy shit's happening, and it's just so different.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition.
Juxtaposed.
Pozoided.
Wow.
Juxtapodoided.
Yep. But yeah, I mean that's the first thing I think that stands out. Actually,
Yes, I remember that too.
the other thing that really stands out to me, and you said one of the funniest things I've heard you say when watching a movie, when the little title crawl happens and you go, damn, they really had to go and pull a Star Wars on us, huh? Oh my God. Also, you said, is this a true story? And then about 2 minutes later, you're like,
This
wait,
is
no,
based
it's based
on
on
Ed
Ed
Gein.
Gein.
And I also forgot that it was in Texas.
Wow.
Let's not talk about
What a
it.
great episode.
I should not be a detective.
Probably not.
Yeah. I'll miss a lot of shit.
The next thing I want to talk about,
Yeah.
I kind of want to, my brain is going in order of things that happen in the movie,
Great.
is you and I laughed a lot about it when they were at the gas station, and every time the gas station attendant would walk away, the dude who was washing the car would walk away too, and then he would come back just for 1 second to say something, and the dude would walk back and start washing
the car again. What a sweet little boy. He's Henry. I'm going to call him
so
Henry.
funny. Man, that
That is so funny.
in a movie so filled with violence and just
And
tension,
serious and like tension, yeah. To
It
have
is,
that little
like-
sweetness of humor.
yeah, this just sweet comedy. It is so good.
That was very funny.
All right, it's time.
All right.
We're gonna talk about the best scene in horror history.
Oh, the one that you liked so
Yes.
much? Okay.
Do you have one before that?
No, what did I say my favorite scene was?
It comes after that. It's the one where she sees Grandpa
Oh, it was the one with the
Yeah.
the weird chainsaw
with the
distorted
cool
noise.
editing. We'll
Okay.
get to that.
Okay. You go first.
Okay, the best scene in horror history. You can watch top 100 moments on horror movie history. It's one of the closest to one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it real or are you just making that up?
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
That used to be a TV show on Spike or something. Sam and I used to watch it
Yeah.
every Halloween.
I
Because they would
remember
have
that.
different editions every year. It's like top 100 scariest movie moments, top 100
We should
movie
watch
moments,
those.
all those.
Okay.
That should be an episode.
That would be so much fun.
Anyways, so the scene I'm talking about is when, what's his name? The tall dude, Freddy from Scooby-Doo,
Yes.
goes into the house, and he's standing at the doorway, and there's the shot of him looking into the doorway, right? And then it cuts back outside, the girl's on the swing, and he's like, you gotta come check this out. And it cuts to this like POV kind of like you were saying with earlier about the girl in the weird room. It cuts to this like POV shot of him looking down the hallway. The one set of like really vibrant color is the back wall to this door at the end of the hallway with a bunch of cow skulls and stuff on it.
It's red.
It's
and
blood
it has
red.
Yeah, it has a bunch of like different like animal skulls.
And you hear pig noises, and with each successive set of pig noises, it does this really harsh cut into a more zoomed in part of this wall. And eventually, once it gets almost like all the way zoomed in, it cuts back to him walking towards the door and being like, hey, is anybody there? And Leatherface steps out from the door. It does this really jarring, like weird cut that the camera is like looking up from his crotch up to his head to like give him a sense of being super fucking tall. And he just hits him.
Yeah.
He hits Freddy in the head.
He like sledgehammers him like
just
they were
like the cows that they were talking about.
Talking about the cows.
And he hits him again, and then he kind of like looks up, drags him off, and
he starts
slams
seizing
the door.
The guy starts seizing. He brings him in, drags him in, and slams that tin door.
Yeah, that
wow.
Man, I could go on and on about that scene. This is where I wish we had a video podcast, because I would just replay the scene over and over and over. And like, I made us stop and go back and watch it again. And I talked to Melissa about it as it was going on.
You did.
And I was like, I was ready to bust because of how good it is.
Amazing.
That's my favorite. Like, that's my favorite part in this movie.
Yeah.
It is so just because, like I was saying to you earlier, it's like 30 minutes of this title card that happens, and it's like, hey, this is really fucked up. This is a true story, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just nothing really happens. Like, some creepy stuff happens, but everything is fine. And you don't even assume that this dude is going to get killed. You just think he's going to, like, find this weird downstairs room with pigs or something. Right?
Yeah.
And then he goes to the door, and then all of a sudden he gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
And in, like, a scene that, like, the longest part of that scene is the shots of the hallway. Him getting killed is, like, 6 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting because I feel like a lot of like horror movies like start off pretty slow in the beginning, and then they like get like crazy fast like towards the end. But this like brought a whole new meaning to that, because I really did not expect that. But like, because it was like, I don't want to say it was like a boring first half, but it was just like leading up to all the killings and everything. And it happened in a split fucking second. Like, you had no idea. He like ran down the hallway to go check out the pig noises, and he just gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
Just immediately.
That's one of the things I like about this movie, is that it doesn't like one of the problems I think kind of plagues a lot of modern horror movies is that they like get these really over the top killing scanes, and they like spend a minute on this person getting killed.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't play around.
Right. Yeah. It's just no.
And I think that's what probably made it so scary, because when I first saw this, I was scared. Like, I think that's what makes this so scary,
because it's so fast.
is because it doesn't like celebrate these killings at all. It's like, oh, you are supposed to be horrified by this.
And it also kind of alludes to the fact that these, like, in a filmmaking sense, or like in a symbolic sense, that these characters don't mean shit.
Yeah, they're just like the cows.
Yeah, exactly. Because like they don't, again, like what you just said, like they don't spend any time like on these deaths at all. Like, they just die and that's it.
And you move on.
And you move on because they don't fucking matter.
We don't even know the names of them. We know the names of the last two surviving characters.
Franklin.
Well, one of them's dead, but Franklin because he was crippled, and Sally only because she survived.
Yeah. I'm sure they probably said the other people's names.
No, they said their names, but what I'm saying is they aren't important enough to remember. Like, they set them up to be likable. Yeah. Right? But like, you don't know
which gets you killed first. Duh. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Talk about your scene.
Well, now I can't even really remember it. I just remember like it was I mean, I already kind of talked about it, because the reason I liked it so much was because, like, the scene itself, she had like run upstairs. She was getting chased by Leatherface. She had run upstairs, I guess, to go hide from him or whatever. And she was in this room, and there's like a decrepit old man, which I got things to say about that, and like a dead grandma. And like, while she was like looking like back and forth, like from those old people, there was those sounds of like the distorted chainsaws that made the scene what it was, which was just like horrifying, because like you're in the middle of a chase scene and then you see all this creepy shit and then you just hear the chainsaws in the background, but it starts to get like all like distorted. I said distorted like 100 times, but
I think the other thing to include about that scene is just the really like 2-second cutaways to him cutting the door down.
Oh, I forgot about the door.
Yeah.
Because because she was getting chased, but she had closed the door and locked it. So Leatherface was like cutting open the door with the chainsaw while she was like looking around the grandpa's room. Yeah.
Man, any other specific scenes you want to talk about?
No, can I talk about stuff I don't like?
Yes, because I also have a thing I don't like.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm not gonna go like there's not a lot of stuff I don't like, but the very beginning, when poor ass Franklin falls down the hill, that scene was awful.
Yeah, it's really poorly acted.
It's poorly acted and poorly shot too.
Yeah.
Like the way it's edited looks awful. The rest of the movie is fucking beautiful and amazing, but that scene it started off with that scene too, and I was like really taken aback by it. I was like, oh, that kind of sucked. He's trying to pee, and then like a gust of wind comes and pushes him down a hill.
I think it's that a truck comes by and like hits mud, because I thought that something like flew up at them. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it like rustled up like leaves and wind, and it
okay.
I guess the strength of like the breeze that like the truck had like pushed him down the hill. Like the angles and the editing and fucking Sally was like, Franklin, and he just falls down a seat, and it was so like unneeded.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it was, I guess it kind of like puts, I mean, Franklin's already in a wheelchair. Why are you making him like even more like fucked up? Like let him like chill out on Franklin, y'all. Chill out. He's already in a wheelchair. And then the fucking grandpa. That is so I was even confused because obviously like Leatherface wears the skin mask, right? And I was just assuming that the grandpa also had a skin mask on because the whatever fucking prosthetics they put on this poor actor look awful. Like it is. Why are you staring at me like that?
I'm just listening to you.
Okay, you're very intently looking at me. But like, yeah, the prosthetics they put on this old man like make it look like he's supposed to also have like a skin face on, a skin mask on. It looks awful.
Yeah, it
doesn't even look like an old man. It looks like a fucking mannequin.
Yeah, they want him to look really decrepit, but it comes off as he's just wearing a Party City mask.
Exactly. It looked like one of those old men Party City masks. And I think the only reason that like, because we watched the 40th anniversary edition, so this was like brightened and like redone, right? So probably if maybe did it look better in like the
I don't remember. I remember having that same reaction the first time I saw
this movie. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Think
I take it back then.
Just they didn't do a great job. Well, I mean, this also was a really low budget movie. This was shot, I think, in 4 weeks. Like it was a really low budget, like not AAA film.
Yeah.
My main gripe with this movie is like I think those are forgivable. I think my main gripe with this movie is just the last third of this movie is only Sally screaming. There's no other sound that happens.
You're saying that too. Like every conversation and other sound gets like drowned out by this shrieking, this awful screaming from this fucking woman.
I think it's at its worst at the dinner scene where they're like trying to, like the other actors in the room are trying to like get some story in.
Yeah.
You know, and they're trying to talk about how the grandpa is like used to be the best cow killer in the factory, but she just can't, like, you can't hear them because all she is doing is just yelling.
She's just like shrieking at the top of her lungs. You were saying like they should have just like turned down it a little bit, just so, because like you had to explain that to me because I didn't even hear the fact that like they were trying to like set up the story of, you know, grandpa was the best cow killer, he can kill her. I didn't even hear that.
And like redubbed those lines so that you could actually hear them.
Yeah, because it was just like awful. And again, there was those good points of like where they you know, drowned out her screaming with the background noise, and it was very like cool then, the sound design and everything. But other than that, the shrieking was just like unforgivable. It was awful.
Like, as a director, you feel like you watch that take like live and you're like, wow, you're really fucking loud. Can you not quiet down a little bit?
Yeah, maybe that's what they wanted though. But
probably,
but that's not what we want.
And saying that's what they wanted. There's another time I'm reminded of when the girl gets put onto the hook, and you were saying how it's weird how there was like no sound.
There's no sound at all.
I do think that was intentional, because I think that part of the point of this movie, like artistically, is that it is so batshit crazy that like just random things fucking happen, right? In terms of the sound design.
Yeah.
So I think that all of these like really weird, obtuse sound choices make sense in context. And similarly, to me, and this stood out, and I talked to you about it, like in that same scene when he's cutting up whatever his name is.
There's no blood spatter.
There's no blood.
It just kind of alludes to the fact that he's getting cut up and that the girl like got put on that hook. It just alluded to it. Like, what's happening, but there's no like crazy noises except for the chainsaw and like her like screaming a little bit. She wasn't screaming. She was kind of like huffing and puffing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you couldn't even see him getting chopped up. It was kind of just alluded to it.
Yeah. And I think that, again, that's a thing that in modern horror is kind of taken for granted, because again, there are so many movies that are just all about blood and guts now.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay, so
one more thing.
Okay.
That we were talking about like the death scenes and everything. Surprisingly enough, the best death scene, and like the one that was the goriest, which probably even like shouldn't have been because it wasn't even done by Leatherface, was when that fucking shitty guy got ran over and his body got exploded.
Yeah.
That scene was crazy.
Bro, actually, the MVP of this movie is that truck driver. Is that 18-wheeler driver, because he runs over that guy and then he gets his wrench. I don't know why they didn't drive off in the first place, but like
I don't know
he
either.
Gets his wrench and fucking hits Leatherface with it.
He
and
just
then
chucks
Leatherface
it and then
cuts himself, and then I guess is gone.
He just runs away.
Hopefully he's still alive.
Hopefully, yeah. Oh my god. One more thing.
He should have gotten in his fucking 18-wheeler even when she
And
got in the truck, like in the regular truck. As Leatherface was distracted by this girl, instead of just running, he should have gotten in his car and left.
Yeah. I really like the scene that I was talking about, but I think my favorite scene is the very last, like, minute where Leatherface is like, it's like the orangey glow of the sunrise, and he's like dancing with, I mean, obviously he's frustrated because the girl got away, but he's almost like dancing with the chainsaw. He's like he's like doing like twists and
like
turns.
Ballet moves.
He's doing ballet moves, and
pirouetting.
he's like tossing like the chainsaw over his head because he's frustrated, but it almost looks kind of beautiful.
Yeah, it's like beautiful in a really
fucked up way.
And similarly, I think we talked about it right before we started recording. How she's like screaming and laughing at the same time as she gets away.
That is so haunting. That was the other part. Like, he's dancing and doing the weird jig with the chainsaw, and you see her driving away in the pickup truck in the back of it, just full blood, like all over her body, like just bloodied. Blood. Yeah, carry ass blood, and she's just like scream laughing at this point because she's just like. I don't know. It was the craziest thing. It was like,
what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, it was so eerie the way that she was like laughing, because she was like screaming while she was laughing.
Yeah,
because she just got away from a fucking, like, all her friends are dead. She just got away from like a man with a chainsaw,
family who's gonna kill her,
and she's like, yeah, just blood all over her body, and she's just like, I can't believe I got away from all that.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I guess we'll spend a little time. No offense, I wish Sam was here for this because he's a horror fan. Mm-hmm. But let's spend a little time talking about the impact that this movie has had, because I think that this is, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, this is the most impactful movie that we've watched on the show in terms of like how it's affected the film industry.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what else would. Paddington 2.
Paddington 2, yeah. Well, the effects of that movie have yet to be seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to describe, okay? But you watch this movie and you see a modern horror movie.
Yeah.
You don't see a campy movie. You don't even really see Psycho. Like, I don't even think Psycho screams a modern horror movie, or The Birds.
Yeah.
Like,
again, I haven't really seen any of these movies, so
there's something about this movie that is just paced in a really modern and really perfect way.
It's before its time, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think that it's better than a lot of modern horror movies, which is fucked up.
Oh, absolutely.
And part of that, I think, to blame is Saw and Hostel and Paranormal Activity and those like blockbuster horror films that got huge, which granted are good in their own right, but it's different because you look at, I don't know if you've seen it, but It Follows is
no.
this really slow burn horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm trying to think of another one that you and I have watched that's like that. What more horror movies have you and I watched
The
together?
one that I think about, the one that I liked so much, probably like one of my favorite horror movies that we've watched, which I don't even know if it's a horror movie, is The Invitation.
What is that?
Is that what it's called? When they have that like dinner party.
The movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yes, I feel like this movie is kind of paced in a similar way.
It's just like, it's slow but impactful.
It's slow and it has some tension and there are hints of violence, and then at the end it's like, oh, here's all of this crazy shit that's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Invitation, by the way, great movie.
It is so good.
Watch it.
Oh my god.
But oh man, and Sam and I went on this long, like 20-minute tangent last night about The Strangers and how this movie is so similar yet so different from The Strangers, because it is like The Strangers is almost the antithesis of this movie, because that movie is about being in your own safety and having these people come and harm you.
Oh yeah.
And this movie is about going to those people and trying to get to safety.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of the times horror movies are like, I guess like you end up in a different place and you get fucked up there, but like with The Strangers, I haven't seen it, but you get like fucked up in your own house. Like these people come into your house and terrorize you instead of like you going somewhere and being terrorized by them, you know?
Yeah.
I get that. That's crazy.
And you know, just the way this movie is shot is just so, I don't think it could be done again.
No, and there's been remakes, and I doubt that they've been that good.
The remakes are...
We don't gotta go into that.
The remakes aren't good, and I think that's... Actually, I think we should go into that, because I think it's a general thing with horror movies.
Okay.
For when you look at... Okay, when you think of horror movie, like classic horror movies, what do you think of?
Halloween.
Okay.
Like Jason, like Friday the 13th, and like Freddy Krueger and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you think Halloween, Friday
Nightmare
the
on Elm
13th,
Street.
Nightmare, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? All of those movies had like 6 sequels.
Yeah.
All of them had like 3 or 4 spinoffs. Alien did too. Predator did as well. And I think that's what got people so burnt out on this genre
Absolutely.
for a long time.
You know
was
what?
Just this
Fast and
propagation.
Furious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's interesting, because there was I don't know if you remember this, but for like a couple years ago, there was a whole like movement against Hollywood about how all they're making are sequels
or like what is that called?
Reboots.
Yep.
And stuff like that, or remakes. But horror movies have been doing that since the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I think that it's so interesting to me that like you saw all these. There's fucking 6 Children of the Corn movies. I don't know if you've ever seen Children of the Corn.
I haven't.
That movie fucking sucks.
Really?
It is terrible.
The original one?
Yes, it is bad. And anybody who says differently, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But like Nightmare on Elm Street had 4 or 5 sequels. Halloween had like 4 or 5 sequels, and a couple in Friday the 13th had a couple sequels, and one in space. Space.
Really?
Jason went to space.
No.
Jason also went to hell.
Can relate.
This movie had, I think, 2 sequels, and then a couple, like 7 fucking reboots.
Remakes.
Also reboot. Well, some of them were reboots. Some of them were remakes. But I think that was such a prevalent problem with horror movies. And then we got to the early 2000s when you start to see all these new IPs like Saw and Hostel and Paranormal Activity.
Which also do the same
all
thing.
All had the same problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's such a weird and almost unique problem to horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that people get so stuck on the idea of here's a serial killer, here's a victim, serial killer kills everybody but one person, so you move to the sequel.
They're not a serial killer,
because,
but okay, go on, go off.
Okay, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Technically, they're serial killers.
Yeah, it alludes to the fact that they're serial killers, but if you didn't catch the fact about the cars, then it would just be like a mass murder.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point.
That's just my problem with horror, is that I don't think there's enough, and I could be wrong, because like when you look at really indie horror stuff, I'm wrong, because I went on a kick a couple years ago where all I watched for a long time was just indie horror movies. Mm-hmm. Like I would go on Netflix, I would look at all this shit that I had never heard of, and I would just watch them.
Yeah.
But when you look at big budget horror movies, there are very few that are original.
Yeah, they all have some type of like background meaning to them.
Yeah, or they're all like just rip-offs of another movie. So
yeah, yeah.
Grave Encounters, and then there was which you and I watched. I think you fell asleep during it. Then there was Grave Encounters 2. Then there was that movie about those kids who went into a school and it was haunted. Do you remember that? It came out like 5 or 6 years ago.
No.
Okay. Well, whole found footage stuff happened.
I hate found footage stuff.
See, I disagree, but whatever.
Whatever.
And before that, it was all the like gore porn, right? Mm-hmm. And then before that, in the 90s, it was like Poltergeist, and before that, it was slashers in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these eras of horror movies, and somebody just needs to buck the trend consistently.
And just make something
and just be
new.
Original.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
That's my TED Talk.
It's kind of weird.
Thanks for coming out.
Because like I'm not into horror. I mean, I am into horror movies now, but I still haven't seen like any of them. You're like a horror movie elitist.
Well, I don't want to be like an elitist because I enjoy a lot of those movies. People shit on Grave Encounters because it's just a regular found footage movie, but
I don't mean that in a bad way.
The most recent Blair Witch, that movie was terrible, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But and like
I'm a serial killer elitist. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, like I enjoy these movies, but I wish that somebody would get big Hollywood money and do something different.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay. So we talked at.
You talked.
Length.
Sorry.
You talked a lot about this movie too.
I know, but you talked a lot.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't mean it in a bad way.
I've wanted to
I
have
know.
a whole podcast about this movie for years.
I wasn't trying to shit on you. I was just saying.
What are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
8.5. Okay. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Yep.
The shrieking can't make this movie not a 10 for me.
See, I think the beginning scene and the grandpa kind of just like kill it for me. The screaming's not that much, but that just kind of like drops it to me.
I can't. Would you recommend it to a friend?
Absolutely. I would recommend it to everybody.
Me too. Even if you're not into horror, I think it is like the most accessible in such a weird way because it is very violent. It is such an accessible horror movie for people.
Yeah. Can I change it to a 9?
Yeah, you can change it to whatever you want to.
Okay, I'm gonna change it to a 9. No, I'm gonna change it to a 9. Submarine's 10, boy. I'm gonna change it to a 9 because I think I like it as much as Drive.
So I think that we have the two back-to-back highest rated movies for us. Because I think I gave Submarine a 9.
No, you gave Submarine a 9.5.
Fuck.
Sorry.
Well, we have the second highest rated movie.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we do on this show?
That's pretty much it. Oh, so we're done with the discussion.
Yes.
Great movie.
I think so. Is there anything else that you want to say about it?
No, I got out everything that I wanted to say, and I know you did too. I'm sure you could talk about it for longer.
I could. If Sam was here, we would. This podcast would be an hour and a half.
Yeah. No, all right. So, Luke, where can you listen to us?
Well, you can listen to us on iTunes podcasts, on Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. We're on like Overcast, Stitcher, on Castbox.fm, which I recently found out about.
Where else now?
You can finally, thanks to the wonderful customer service of Pinecast, You can finally listen to us on Google Play.
Woohoo!
Did I tell you the story about how I got that to happen?
No.
So a while ago, I'll tell this to the podcast. I don't care. I made a post on the Pinecast subreddit about me having trouble getting it to Google Play.
Yeah.
And the guy who runs Pinecast responded, and he was like, "Hey, open up a ticket. We'll figure this out for you."
Hell yeah.
I went. That was like 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. I finally went and opened up a ticket, and he responded to me very quickly, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. The image is sized correctly, blah blah blah." He told me all the technical stuff that might be going on with it, and then he said, "You know what? Let me see if I can change it for you, and I'll see if I can get it up on there for you." Mm-hmm. 10 minutes later, he's like, "Hey, check and see if you can put it up." And I checked, and he fixed it, and he was able.
Did you profusely thank him?
Yes, he went in and edited the like properties of the picture to get it the correct size that Google Play wanted.
Do you think he believes in us?
I don't know. He probably hasn't
Hope so.
listened. He probably is not going to listen to this. But if you are listening, I think his name is Matt. I don't remember.
Matt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you thank him? Did you email him and thank him?
It was in a customer service
Did you say thank
chat.
you?
I said thank you very many times.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I want him to know that we care.
Thanks
Pinecast.
To Pinecast. We are now on Google Play.
Yeah.
You can go listen to us there. I know a lot of people listen to podcasts on there. So
yeah, heck yeah.
Where can they find us on social media?
So we are mostly on Instagram at Plot Unknown. That's where we post all the things. That gets sent to Facebook, so same thing. So Facebook is Plot Unknown. You could just find us. Just type in our name. We have a page, like us. We are on Twitter at Plot Unknown Pod. And then we have a website that basically just has it's not really anything fancy. It just has our episodes on it, but that's plot-unknown.pinecast.co. And I think that's it. We're mostly on Instagram, so you can just follow us there. Make sure to like us on Facebook. Yeah. Make sure to like us on Facebook.
Please like us on Facebook. Follow us on everything.
Subscribe, rate, review, please.
Subscribe and please rate. And
it really helps us. And it does. I know that we have a lot of listeners, but you guys rate it. Step up, rate it, y'all.
Help us out.
Yeah.
You know what? We should start reading reviews. We've got one.
We have one. It's from Stuart.
It is from Stuart.
The very first month of us doing this podcast.
It says knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
While watching the Falcons game, this podcast keeps me sane. I remember when you wrote that. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
For that review. If you want your review read, comment on iTunes.
Yeah.
Or wherever else you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Or email us.
Yeah.
At PlotUnknown podcast. Whoa. PlotUnknown@gmail.com.
Yeah, or DM us. We want to hear your feedback, and we know a lot of you guys listen to this, and we really appreciate that. Let us know how you feel. Give us some commentary, give us some comments, give us some constructive criticism. Let us know.
What movies you want to see?
What movies, what episodes have been your favorite? Let us know. We want to hear from you.
We want to interact with you guys.
Yeah. All right, Luke. This has been a fucking joyride.
Thank you.
Profusely love this movie.
Thank you. I think this is the second. It's the highest movie rated movie that I've picked, but it's second in my heart. Not because it's my favorite movie all time, but I enjoyed having Drive on this podcast more.
Okay.
Because
really?
I think, I love this movie and I love talking about this movie, but I think Drive was fun to talk about. I think that should be, I don't know. I think it was because it was so brand new to us at the time. Now it's fuck yeah, let's get down to it.
Yeah.
Then it was oh my God, here's one of my favorite movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I love Submarine.
I'm glad. Submarine was awesome.
Yeah.
We're on the future now.
I know, but I'm just saying that's been our highest rated so far.
Yeah. Melissa,
Luke,
what is next week?
Honestly, I have no idea. I have the same problem that I had with Q, and that I haven't seen any movies that start with a U except for Up, and you've seen that.
Damn. I think I asked you that question last week for S. I think I asked you, hey, Melissa, what do you have coming up for you? I don't know why I did that.
There's another letter in the middle of that.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'll figure it out before next week. We'll see.
Yeah. So we have.
We honestly might just watch a really shitty rom-com and just shit on it.
Cool with me.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening. Come back and check us out next week for
Letter U. See you for you.
Yeah, see you.